province is lifting mandatory masking in most indoor public settings as of March 21st. But some are saying it's too soon, including Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie.
And Mayor Bonnie Crombie joins us now live here on CB24 Live at noon. Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you for being here. Why are you in the camp that says now's not the right time, or not just yet anyway?
Well, let's just say things are on the right track, and I'm optimistic they're going well, but it just feels like it's a bit too soon for me. It was only on March 10th that we eased restrictions, capacity limits. We eliminated the need to prove your vaccine certification. And I've been hearing from parents that they're worried about their kids going back to school and not having to wear masks. So usually in the past, when we move from one stage or one phase to another, or we loosened restrictions, we gave a little more time in between, 2 to 4 weeks, to see what the impact would be on case counts, on hospitalization rates, on ICU rates. So I just feel it's a little soon, given that we just eased restrictions.
Yeah. And Mayor Crombie, you also anticipate that Mississauga City Council will vote to pass the local mask bylaw. Do you have any thoughts on what Dr. Lawrence Loh is thinking in terms of masking and whether or not he can issue a Section 22 order to keep them in place?
So our mask bylaw expires at the end of the month, but to conform to the provincial legislation, we will probably let it sunset on the 23rd, which is our next council meeting. I did hear from Dr. Lawrence Loh just before coming on air, and he has no plans right now to ask children to keep their masks on. But of course, we'll all be watching the trends. And I know that the Premier will be watching the trends as well, as will Dr. Moore and all the public officers of health. And should they see, an increase or a surge in cases, then I'm sure they'll pull the brake and put, more restrictions back in place, masking, capacity limits, et cetera. So I'm very confident we're all going to watch very closely. I mean, I know some people are delighted, but there are also others that are immunocompromised, and they're very concerned about being out in public without proper protection. So at this point, it should be a choice. If you don't feel comfortable out in public, in an indoor setting, there are too many people, please feel free to put your own mask on. It protects yourself, protects your family, and it protects others. Think about those people who could still be immunocompromised.
It's interesting, isn't it? We are in a position, Mayor Crombie, where a majority of the sort of adult population is, 90% of us, or 90% plus, are double, and in many cases triple vaccinated already. So from the adult side of things, most of the infectious diseases doctors we speak to feel quite comfortable with the idea of removing the mask mandates. But when you look at the vaccination rates for children, less than 70% even have just one, or 70% may have one, but none of them are not many of them are fully vaccinated here. So that seems to be the issue. Could you see a scenario where schools become separated out from the sort of rest of society and bring them back for schools rather than worrying about sort of the general adult population, a majority of whom are vaccinated?
Well, let me just say that the vaccination rate for 5 to 11-year-olds here in Peel is just over 50%, but that's largely because we have so many of them. I think we're going to watch very closely what happens in the classrooms and in each particular school, and then we'll watch the trends generally. So I know that Dr. Lawrence Loh has acted before when he has needed to, and he will again should he need to. At this point, we're holding our breath and keeping our fingers crossed that everything will be okay. But should we see that surge in cases, I know that we'll take action.
Yeah, I was about to call you Dr. Crombie. That's how many doctors we speak to on the show. I'm sorry about that. Mayor Crombie, that's what I wanted to say. Do you feel confident that this will kind of be the last time we do this full reopening dance, only to get kind of locked down again or slapped with more restrictions? Because I feel like this is a bit of deja vu. We've been to this point where we feel like we're very close to the finish line. We're almost there, and then with each wave, we go back to, step one again. Do you think that it'll be too late by the time that, let's say, we lift everything and we see a sudden surge, that masking at that point might be useless? Are you worried about that?
Well, I'm always worried about a lot of things. And as Dr. Moore said, that removing the mask does not mean the risk is gone. So the risk still exists. Omicron is still in the system. The good news is we're not hearing about any new variant that may be even more virulent, more severe than Omicron. So that is good news. So we just have to continue to watch very closely. Dr. Lowe feels strongly that the pandemic has now become endemic in the system and that we can manage it, but we have to be vigilant and we have to continue to watch the trends. And I encourage people, if you don't feel comfortable, even if you're in an outdoor setting, let alone in an indoor setting, and there are too many people around you, please go ahead and feel free to wear your mask. Many others will. And thank you for it too.
That's an important message to reiterate. Okay, Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.